I would say record it to the computer.
Oh, sorry. Oops. Hi, everybody. This is the Ask Us Anything becoming a senior 2021 December. This is the APAC AMER region session, and we've got a lot of really cool questions in the thing, in the doc. So without much ado, let's get this started. Oh, all right. So the first question is, what made you decide to become a senior support engineer?
Yep. So I'll go first. So for a long time, it was just a lot of encouragement from my reporting manager. So it's quite interesting that it actually took me close to a year for me to actually start the promo doc. And during that time, my manager would constantly say, "Hey, Anton, you working on your promo doc yet? Hey, Anton." And when I actually did it, she was like super excited. So, which was really cool. But also I got a lot of comments from other colleagues through the 360 feedbacks, like, "Why aren't you a senior yet?" So I think for a long time, I was just in disbelief that, you know, I was actually up to par. So I think once I started listening to the feedback that I was receiving, that's when I decided to become a senior support engineer.
Cool.
Yeah, Cynthia here. For those of you who don't know for some reason, also go by Arty, especially on Slack. So I interestingly didn't really decide on becoming a senior support engineer so much as my manager at some point told me I was already working as a senior and so should just become a senior officially, be recognized, and I mean, admittedly paid at a senior level. And so that's kind of how it went for me.
Yeah, and for me, I found myself thinking a lot about big picture stuff, and I wanted to shift my focus a bit from helping myself succeed to more helping our team succeed.
Thank you. Thanks, Greg, Cynthia, Anton. All right, so the next question from Kenneth is related to the previous question. When did you feel ready to go through the process of applying to be a senior engineer?
So the truth is, for me anyway, you never really feel ready, because back to my previous answer, the hesitation I had for actually becoming a senior in the first place was I felt like my technical knowledge wasn't up to par. And you know, you need to stop and look back at all your achievements that you've done and the impacts that you have created amongst the team. And that was felt when I actually filled in the promo doc, and then I realized, oh, hey, Anton, you've actually done some pretty cool stuff. And, you know, like, I've always had an issue with acknowledging my own successes. So when I saw that, I was like, maybe I am ready. So yeah, that's my realization anyway.
Cool, thank you, Anton. Cynthia.
I'm just basically going to reiterate what Anton said earlier, actually. It's like, if you're a manager, other people start telling you that you're a senior, you're working as a senior, that, I mean, you're ready. There's no doubt about it. Once people start saying you feel like a senior, you act like a senior, I mean, you're a senior. I mean, it is, again, just a matter of being recognized for the work that you're already doing. Anyone else? Alex?
Yeah, I can say it's similar to Greg. I find the concept of senior and not senior quite difficult. But that's based on, if you're a Unix sysadmin, once you have the root password, then there really is very little control. But what did make me think about it more was mostly Lyle and the idea of the flow assistant team and doing work for a wider field. So that eventually made me review, like Anton, I kept some minimal notes of progress, but that was just a habit I have anyway. But that kind of triggered me to make a New Year's resolution to focus on it. So I did need some extra motivation to go back and think about it and think, okay, this is worth pursuing for a number of reasons.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Cynthia. Greg, did you have something to add or no? No. Okay, cool. So then somebody has asked, did you actively update your promotion doc? So I imagine this means, throughout throughout from when you started at GitLab, or like maybe like 6 months into your.
Yeah, so I actually did not start a path to promotion doc for almost 2 years after being at GitLab, and I regret this. If I could go back and do it differently, I would have started it like in my first month. One thing I had trouble with is, so I had a bunch of discretionary bonuses, I think 6 or 7 in that time period, and a lot of the messages were lost in the void of Slack retention policy or whatever. So when it does come to like proving character development and alignment with values, I felt like it would have been good to have the examples of my discretionary bonus, the reason I was nominated for those. Additionally, yeah, really anything where it's thanks or you're going above and beyond and it's shared in Slack, that's only going to be around for 90 days. So I would encourage anybody, even if you're not thinking about promotion, to just start a document called promo source material, and anything in Slack or any achievement, accomplishment you're proud of, make sure to update it and add it there. It will pay off in a lot once it does come time to do your path to promo doc. You will have a lot of material instead of starting from scratch.
Yeah, I also echo a lot of what Greg has just outlined. I didn't actually start my promo doc until a few days before I submitted it. So, but what I did have was I started a Google Doc maybe 5-6 months into the job, and I just kept those things that Greg mentioned, like screenshots of Slack conversations of thanks from other team members, discretionary bonuses, and also just links of tickets from Zendesk with positive feedback on, how I performed there. Now, due to GitLab being great and all, and when we work on issues and MRs, it's all public, it's easily searchable. It's really easy to find those later on to fill in the promo docs. So because I had all those key things to begin with, it was very easy for me to rapidly fill in the promo doc. So yeah.
Excellent, thanks, Anton. Just a point to note is that there's still that 3-month retention period on Slack. So those ones you can't find again, if you've missed the boat on that. Alex.
Yes, I did, but only after I made the commitment to that I wanted to do this as a goal. Other notes were mostly for performance reviews. That was the main reason for doing that.
Very cool. Thank you, Alex. And Cynthia, you've got a plug.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, I created a track your work document template, which is in the shared Google Drive. And I think Jane at some point called it a dumping ground for anything you might just want to know. And that is exactly how I encourage people to use it. And this is how I use it. Literally just, as Anton said, might be like tickets you've gotten good ESSA on, like Greg says, it could be Slack messages because of the 90-day retention, you want to keep it. But this is a way to like just quickly copy and paste things into a doc. And it gives you kind of like basic categorization, but you can always, you know, mess with however you want with it. And if nothing else, it's good for your performance review.
Maybe that could be added to the onboarding list. It's a little reminder that you could do this.
I think it's up to managers to create a path to promotion document when individual contributor starts. So, but this would be potentially an alternative. The reason why I kind of took the word promotion out of it is because I know a lot of people kind of struggle with what to put in a document that is towards promotion versus just keeping track of work that you've done. But Alex, if absolutely, please put in an MR, add it to the onboarding for support. That would be cool.
I like the different purpose of it, which is cool.
Excellent. Very cool. And I guess one thing that Anton touched on earlier, which I know that a lot of us have to deal with, is the whole thing of where you feel like you're, you know, not doing enough, or you're not actually contributing and stuff. And a feeling with this thing, with this sheet, I guess it helps because you can remind yourself of the things that you're accomplishing as you go, right? So it does help to boost confidence a little bit for people who are affected by that, I guess. Anyway, so next question. Do you feel you're more or less effective as a manager of one after becoming a senior engineer?
I kind of put yes, as in yes and no. It really is both. I think I've improved at being a manager of one in some ways, but I also struggle more often than I used to because as a senior, I just have more to prioritize. So I think it was only after becoming a senior that I ever went to my manager and said, here's a list of things that I have to do. This is how I prioritize it. Do you agree? Because anything at the bottom of the list might not be worked on until 3 months from now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much the same. It's balancing act. I don't feel I'm a more or less effective manager of one. I do think there's more that I'm expected to work on and more that I'm excited that I can help out with, especially in terms of big picture stuff and in areas that I was previously not involved. So that does take a bit more effort and time to do well. But at the same time, I feel like I have a bit more autonomy in what I can either delegate to others or like find a way for me to drop the responsibility and find like a way to work on something where my time or effort would be put to better use or produce more results, I would say. So more autonomy in what I work on, but more things available to work on.
Excellent. Do any of the other senior engineers want to voice their answers? No, we're all good. All right. So time, huh? Question number 5. How much technical knowledge do you believe someone should have to be classed as a senior? Is it to do with technical knowledge?
So one of the distinctions between senior and intermediate, I feel, is that intermediate, it's a lot easier to focus on one area, become a subject matter expert, where there is an expectation that seniors the specializations will be less important, and the general ability to move things forward regardless of the subject matter is more important. So I'd say having some familiarity with the different workflows in our handbooks and some hands-on experience across the different features and stages is helpful. Looks like Anton next.
Yeah, so Greg raises a lot of good points, and yeah, I'm not going to go repeating them, but yeah, it is important at a senior level to have a basic foundation knowledge of, you know, most of the things. And, you know, just going back to some of the previous questions, you know, for a long time, I felt that was a blocker for me to becoming a senior support engineer. Like, I remember talking to my manager about, hey, I need to learn more about Terraform or Kubernetes. And I felt like I would never get to the level of some of our other support engineers who are just amazing at Kubernetes or Terraform, using those as examples. But I then learned that technical knowledge is not the only factor when you are being considered for senior support engineer. And I feel that the ability to mentor and inspire other team members and just being able to help out, you know, as, you know, even emotional support as well, I think is very important. And just knowing how to move something forward, even if you don't fully understand yourself. So, yeah.
I'm going to add a little bit of actually what Lyle wrote async in the doc, and you know, he talks about how it's not about how much you know, it's about knowing where to go, and that's either where to look technically or who to ask. And it's really about like knowing the next steps to resolution. And I think that's actually one of the things we have found to be successful in AMER. We started doing these senior help sessions, and it's not the same as a crush, because it's not about necessarily, you know, troubleshooting on the ticket itself. It's about getting people onto the next step towards resolution, and that could be connecting them with an expert within support, could be connecting them with dev or product. So at the same time, it's good to be, I would say, an expert in one or two areas, but also remember that our definition of expert is above average. And considering the size of our product, you don't need a lot to be above average.
Thank you, Cynthia. Alex, were you going to write something or say something?
Yeah, so I was just trying to form my thoughts. I agree with the above. From a self-managed perspective, the foundational knowledge is important, but I think the shift I'm personally trying to see now is a more focus on GitLab skills. So more of the GitLab functionality and becoming better aware of how it works, and not so much the underlying technology, because the product scope is really, really growing. And with groups and subgroups and members, and being a member from LDAP, being a member from SAML, all that is, we're moving, I think in general, we're moving away from the foundational knowledge of the Linux administration and processes and those things to more the GitLab as a product. So that's what I feel a senior can look towards.
Excellent, very nice. Thanks, thanks all, including Lyle, for the async comment. This is awesome because I know we do have Adam used to be my onboarding buddy. Adam was my onboarding buddy, and he used to try to tell me, don't try and learn everything, Alvin. You'll never figure all of the things out. Focus on a few things to start off with, right? And you slowly get the hang of other things incidentally. At first I thought this is rich coming from someone who seems to know everything, but it makes sense now. Yeah. Okay. So
it's like a It's like a book that gets a new chapter every month.
Yes. Yes. All right, so the next question, being promoted can increase the pressure one puts on oneself to perform at a higher level. How do you keep imposter syndrome at bay in your new role? Oof, that's a good question.
First of all, I just want to say imposter syndrome sucks, like really hard. And yeah, I think I can speak to that. I mean, coming from a development role into a support role, I definitely felt imposter syndrome really strong as an intermediate support engineer, especially in the beginning days. And even I still deal with it today as a senior. And I think the main thing to take from imposter syndrome is you should let it empower you and realize that, hey, I don't know everything. So what can we do about that? Just treat every unknown as an opportunity to learn something new, and just don't be shy or afraid to tell others, hey, I don't know something, but maybe I can help you. Maybe I can point you in the right direction. And I think that's really important. It's just acknowledging that imposter syndrome is a thing, but there are ways of dealing with it. And I don't think the strategies are any different from intermediate to senior. They're just the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Anton said. Imposter syndrome is not fun, and it is a serious problem. I address it by constantly reminding myself and others that it's impossible to know everything. There's a great entry on our, it's a sub-value where it goes over. Basically, yeah, you're not expected to know everything. In fact, we are expected to rely on others to help with the things that we don't know. And the other thing I do to help with imposter syndrome is admitting when I don't know, because I feel just admitting that I don't know something takes off some of the pressure. Like, you don't have imposter, like legitimate. I'm not trying to be an imposter if I say I don't know. I'm being honest that I don't know. And like Anton said, normally I can help find next steps, but just admitting when I don't know, it takes some of the pressure off.
Thanks, Greg and Anton. Lyle's commented async again. He is questioning the phrase performing at a higher level, because I think Lyle says the more appropriate way could possibly be to say in wider areas of exposure. So some of the situations you may handle as a senior aren't necessarily technically more challenging, but there are more people watching what you're doing, right? So you're looked up to more, which has responsibility, and it's scary to be in those big meetings with VP plus. I'm not sure what that means. Somebody can help me with that. From GitLab and other organizations. Oh, VP is vice president? Okay, maybe that's not what it means. I try and remind myself that I'm a part of a team, and then it's collaboration that's going to win these hard situations more than individual amazingness. That was all Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. VP plus means like high level people, right? I'm just gonna go with that. All right, does any of the other senior engineers have anything to say? No, let's go on to the next question. We're kind of running out of time. Okay, so it seems somewhat common for people to be a bit unsure about making the move to be promoted. And it's not hard to find folks who took longer than others might have expected for them to be promoted. If you're one of these people, if you experience this, how are things now that you have made the decision to proceed with being promoted? Is there anything about the move to senior that you dislike?
So, yeah, for me, one thing that I've struggled with, I won't say I dislike it, but I feel like moving to senior, I did take on some new roles and responsibilities without necessarily discarding any of my previous roles and responsibilities. So one thing I struggle with is prioritization and time management. It often feels like I have like I'm at 150% capacity, and I understand that realistically I could do maybe 90 to 100% of that. So when I set out to accomplish all the things, inevitably I find I can't accomplish all the things if I'm at 150% capacity. So at the end of the day, it can leave me feeling like, oh, I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to or could have, and that can cause me to feel like I'm falling behind instead of moving things forward. However, this is something I'm actively working to improve, and I have help and guidance from my manager. So that's the main thing for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Greg. We've got a minute or less than a minute left for anybody. I mean, we can still do this async as well. Does anybody, does any of the other senior engineers want to add something? No, excellent. All right, so now we're just going to open the floor up to random questions from the. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. We're at time, so you know the senior engineers are always available to have coffee chats and stuff with, and there's always the senior engineer hours and all of that stuff as well. So definitely keep asking these questions. These are good things. I'm going to stop recording now.